alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
I see dead people.
Hot shit.
Here's Johnny.
Stop.
We have such sights to show you.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus. Fuck you too.
Alright, hit me with that intro.
Lotsa pasta!
Wow! Look
Wow!
at your goddamn bars, dude.
We're back. Hello.
Look at your goddamn bars.
I like bars. They have the alcohol.
Oh.
Hi, guy.
Oh. What an unusual pair I see before me.
The fuck do you mean unusual?
Cruel and unusual.
Where am I?
Yeah, we're rocking a three-fer today. First three-fer since the big old break. I'm excited to announce the guests here with me today are of course my lucky prisoner escapee co-convict in question, as you most likely have watched or seen parts of our playthrough of A Way Out already up at this point.
My name.
Of course, it is Deputy Dewey.
Vinny Dewdrop in the house.
You son of a bitch. You're a cop. And, of course, how can I forget the ephemeral, the immortal. Those are contradiction
Can
of
we just
words.
continue to call me DM for the night?
You are... Where am I?
Where am I? But I'm still in the DM mindset.
Of course, you live in the DM mindset.
I do live in the DM mindset.
It's how you work. It's how you operate. You're constantly playing 3D chess when everyone else is playing checkers. It's Where Am I, of course,
Yeah.
off to my left over here.
Can we talk about how a random person out there in the world is wearing you on their shirt?
Yeah, dude, that's like the best news that I've heard in a long time.
I asked a bunch of people, and they all told me that it wasn't them.
Yeah.
So, like... Totally random subject. It came up during the hangout because we are in a D&D group together. Someone had shout out to the merch store.
Yeah, hell
we
yeah.
have we have a merch store on Redbubble.
Bye.
If you search El Capitan Muerte, you will be, or Lotsa Pasta. It's tagged on everything.
Lots of pasta merch to the moon.
If you search Lotsa Pasta merch on Redbubble, you will find it. It is under my artist profile, El Capitan Muerte, and you can buy stickers of your favorite readers. You can buy a shirt of the logo of the show. You could buy a shirt of the banner of the show. I had, of course, done a culmination using all of our talented cast in both of those group ensembles.
You can buy a small amount of pasta.
You can buy an adequate amount of pasta. It's not lots or Lotsa.
We're in a
Yeah,
recession.
just because when you get into the Lotsa part, the shipping costs get a little crazy, and you know
It's
you might as well just go to the grocery
expensive.
store
I'm not
for
gonna
that
lie,
at
it's
that point.
expensive. It's like $3 for like a sticker, but like, you know, apparently it's
I mean,
really great
the-
quality.
Yeah, the sweatshirts are really nice.
So
Like, I've had
here's
mine
the story.
for literal year.
This is a story all about how WhereAmI bought a hoodie of himself, and he wears it a bunch of places, and no one really gets it.
I wore it to PAX in 2019.
You wore it to PAX. If you were at PAX in 2019, you saw WhereAmI without even realizing it. Now, let me warn you, there's an imposter out there who's also wearing
Where Am
a
I.
hoodie with WhereAmI's face on it. I've asked a bunch of people. They all have said it's not them. So that means that someone out there likes this motherfucker's episode so much, or possibly just his design,
I would say it's a pretty sweet alcoholic.
it's a Rick and Morty. It's a Rick and Morty version of Where Am I, taken directly from my brain and how he actually looks in person. He has the paper hat on right now, as the can's over his eyes and everything.
The bottles are empty.
So,
The bottles are definitely not empty. They're actually
right.
Gonna clank that.
And yeah, let's give her a clanks. Perfect.
I like how both of you have beer and I have a fucking bottle of whiskey.
Alcoholic.
Magners. And so someone out there purchased a hoodie of WhereAmi's face and they're also wearing it. They're not actually WhereAmi. Only one of them is actually WhereAmi. Let's start a movement where everyone buys that hoodie and
man.
And no one knows where they are.
Where am I to the moon?
So there you go. Deputy Dewey.
Nobody buys my shirts.
It's because you're a cop.
Yeah.
So, you guys know what we're doing here today, or maybe you don't. But
Threesome.
But it's the first time you guys have been on an episode together. Do you guys know of each other's episodes?
Yeah.
Even vaguely.
He has a bunch more than me.
He's been on more. That's the only fairness there.
Mine are more sporadic, but throughout the entirety of the show.
We've also covered entire series, him and I, whereas you and I only escaped from prison together.
I mean,
as your first series.
I enjoyed it as much as you did.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. It makes me want to play that guy. That guy came out with a new game called It Takes Two, and it's about a guy and a girl in like some type of adventure scenario.
Called Dibs on the Girl.
I've seen a bunch of ads for it.
We going tango tonight.
I guess that means I get dibs on the guy.
Hey.
That makes me the
cameraman,
the dinosaur. So anyway,
that's a tough thing about threesomes, man. Like somebody might get left out, so like somebody has to be like on like on their game as like a sexual predator to do like both at the same time.
No, and so not unlike today's episode where no, the complete opposite is happening. None of us are going to be counted out today because today we are each reading one creepypasta story and putting it up against one NoSleep story to see who is the king of terror of the evening.
Ding, ding,
see which is either more appealing of a story or scarier in general, or whichever one we enjoyed the most. Most importantly, our opinions don't matter at all. We're just gonna read a couple stories and you're gonna deal with it.
Yeah. Round 1. Scare.
So, who wants to start with just jumping into one of these fucking short stories? Do I need to tell you the title first? Would that be more enticing to decide who does it?
Is it You a Cop?
It's not You a Cop.
Damn.
Do I have a taker for the first story?
If you want,
I believe it's Deputy Dewey.
I was gonna say I would want to smack the bong before I start.
You can smack the bong.
Yeah, I was gonna say now I'll smack the bong and then listen.
You were going to be patient while I pack the bong.
That's fine.
While Deputy Dewey reads the first story of the evening.
I can't send you to jail if I'm not paying attention to you smoking
entitled
That's
Holes.
too damn bad.
So there's
Stanley Yelnats himself.
There's more than one. So this is Holes.
From Creepypasta.
It began slowly, innocuously. Although the first appearance was quite sudden, there was no warning, no dent. It was just there. As if a small little hole had always belonged on my calf.
I hate this already.
Oh, man.
It's like that. What's the phobia of small holes? Is that trachophobia?
Oh, yeah.
Where
I don't like that.
You know, like the little dents and holes in your skin and then on frogs' backs and shit.
What's in there? I hate my belly button. Anyway, as though it had always been there and always would. Oh, somebody's touching me right now. I first noticed it, and after a quick moment's inspection, I thought that I should visit the doctor soon. Then, I went about my day and it promptly left my mind. The next time I noticed, I chided myself for not making an appointment.
Chide.
And once more thought to do so. However, this time, it seemed fascinating.
Yeah, like stick a finger in there.
Sickeningly so.
Yeah, like what's up in there? Like
On
Jesus?
the outside of my left calf was this small, although rather too large hole. It's getting bigger! Oh no! It was perfectly circular and completely black. Hey man, those lives matter.
He just starts shitting out of his calf hole.
Oh no! It was as if no light could penetrate it. I studied it for hours, twisting this way and that, trying to see if there was more. I even used the torch to try and find what the cause was. Oh my god, what?
Yeah, what's the cause?
The hole was too deep to see completely into, and what I could see was regular looking skin, and the rest faded into shadow. There was no redness, no swelling, and no pain. Once I had satisfied my morbid curiosity, I went to the phone to call the doctor, but on my way, it slipped my mind. Damn, dude, this guy like never
He's
remembers
like
to call the doctor.
It's like it's easy to forget that the hole just appeared on your body somewhere without any pain or drill or anything.
I think this guy is smoking the hashish.
There is a you know what? I just forgot what we were talking about.
There are holes in a bong.
Oh.
One moment, I was striding confidently, if a little panicky,
Ain't
towards the
nobody gonna
phone.
break my stride. Ain't nothing gonna hold me down. Oh, hole in my fucking calf hole.
I got a hole. I got a hole.
There you go.
In my calf.
Calf hole.
All right, heading towards the phone.
No,
It was good until the end there.
Next, I stopped, paused, and wondered who I was going to ring. Rings,
give him the
holes,
ring.
I get it. It seemed every time I saw it, I immediately remembered. But once it was out of my sight, it left my mind. This went on for a few days, then another began to appear. Well, now he's got multiple. I could see a small dent, perfectly circular, and watched as, over a few hours, it deepened. It happened imperceptibly?
Imperceptibly.
Oh, he's so good at reading. I was only aware of it if I looked away and back again. But, curiously, each time I looked away, I momentarily forgot what I was looking at. They were completely erased from my mind. I can think of numerous times I glanced at my calf and saw nothing but smooth, slightly hairy skin. It was a week before I noticed them again. This time, there were 7. Holy shit, man. You gotta see the doc. You got them herps. They had taken on a slightly honeycomb shape. Thin walls of skin separated each one. I used a magnifying glass, but could not discern the cause. The only thing I was sure of was that they were there and they were not pores. When I next saw them, I was shocked and horrified. I counted 15 and what appeared to be 3 more. That's 18 there, bud. Their overall honeycomb shape became more apparent. I stared at them for hours. Moving this way and that, seeing how they would react, they seemed to compress slightly if I stood, as though weakened. They could no longer support my weight. I went to bed, troubled but unsure of what. I had written down, call a doctor about your calf, now! Yeah, it's only taken you how many weeks? On a piece of paper, but when I looked at it again,
They have a magic about
the
it.
writing was scribbled out, obscured by thick black marks.
See, he can't
Interesting.
remember. Something is against him. Something
getting
is stopping. It's the Alzheimer's. Where am I? The Alzheimer's.
It actually reminds me of a story that I read in middle school, which was, I believe the title was Boxes by William Slater.
I like that one. Yeah.
And the style and just the setup in this very well reminds me of that story.
I have that book.
I'm thinking more of
I have a lot of his books.
more of Stephen King's character in Creepshow, the Moss Man. How like it just continues to grow on boy after touching a rock.
Oh, you darn did it again.
Damn it, Deputy Dewey. When I awoke the next morning, I felt a strange sensation in my calf. Swinging out of bed, I glanced at the sheet and saw a strange yellowish liquid that had soaked onto the sheet where my calf had rested. The residue seemed sticky, almost mucousy. The area around the holes had a sheen and the skin was also coated. Counting, I found 34. Hot damn. I tried not to gag at the sight. The sensation returned, more uncomfortable than before. Quickly, I grabbed the flashlight and tried to see what it was, but I could still not penetrate the depths of those damn holes.
Penetrate.
Quickly, I looked for something, anything, that was thin and long.
Oh no.
Yeah, baby.
I hate it.
Let me poke myself a bit. I noticed that, as I walked, my left leg seemed to sink slightly as my weight was put on it,
Oh no.
like a spring under pressure.
Oh no.
Finding a thin needle, I carefully pushed it into one of the holes.
No.
Slowly, so as not to accidentally stab myself.
No.
As it went deeper, the golden yellow liquid oozed around it,
God.
becoming thicker and faster, flowing
Are we
the
gonna make-
deeper.
we're gonna make
the
WhereAmI leave the
needle
room?
went. Finally, it stopped. However, I could not feel the tip.
I'm really glad I didn't have to read this
I
story.
could feel the sides of the needle, but nothing else. I pushed it further and felt something
Writhing.
Slowly, ever so slowly, I pulled the needle from my flesh, dragging more of that disgusting goo with it. A slight smell of rotting fruit filled the air, vile but with a sweetness to it. As the needle had left my flesh, I retched and vomited.
Like, where am I?
On the end of the needle was a small black worm, wriggling as if it died. As I watched the creature that had lived in my leg squirm, I realized what the sensation was. It was coming from each and every one of those holes.
Great.
Something was inside each one.
It is that phobia that I talked about. It's literally like note for note that fucking thing I talked about.
Something that was squirming in each one. Something was burrowed deeper in each one. Shudders pulsated through my body as I tried not to vomit again.
No thanks.
I stared at that tiny, dying creature, unable to look away. There was no time to think, only to act. I made my way to the kitchen, and grabbing a sharp knife, I sat down and set to work. Oh,
Great.
buddy. First, I cut through the tiny pockets of skin, allowing the holes to become one. Then I dug out each and every one of the vile creatures. The deeper I dug, the more I found. Blood had begun to flow freely and fill the hole I had created. I limped to the bathroom, as you would. Barely able to walk, again, as you would. As I sat on the side of the tub and grabbed the hose in the tub, I could feel them inside
has
me.
a hose.
Ooh.
I wasn't
Hundreds,
trying to be sexual.
perhaps thousands, all gorging.
Gorging.
Turning the water on, I rinsed the wound clean, clearing my field of vision. As the blood cleared, I saw them. A writhing mass living inside me. Occasionally one would fall from the group and, squirming, would be washed down the drain. At first I used the knife to try and remove them. Then my fingers. Sausage fingers.
What?
What was the spoon
Salad
guy?
fingers.
Yeah,
Salad fingers.
my
That's
spoon.
quite opposite.
I felt something sharp bite into my hand. One of them had attracted themselves to the tip of the index finger. With a shout of horror, I cut it away from my flesh. I cut until I found tissue. Then I began to saw, hacking away, trying to remove them as much as I could. Clumps of those insidious things fell from my leg, my vision grew cloudy, and shooting stars of black and red flashed across my eyes. I knew I was going to pass out soon, and I still tried to work, faster and faster, trying to finish the horrific job. I remember breathing deeply. Then, darkness. I awoke in the hospital. An untold amount of time had passed. A delivery man had looked inside my window to see if I was home, and had seen a trail of blood. He had called the police, called Deputy Dewey on the cell.
Yup, that looks fucked up.
That was a good impression of me.
No, it wasn't.
I tried to explain my actions to the doctors. They didn't understand. There was no trace of those creatures, but I could still feel them. I could still feel them advancing, burrowing deeper and deeper, gorging on my flesh, thriving in my warm body. Soon, they will burst forth. I will have to stop them. Somehow, I will.
So it's a psychosis.
I
It's a
know
phobia.
that the name of the story was Holes, but the name of the story should have been Math.
Meth. Yeah, no, that's an accurate title. I agree thoroughly. It made us all squirm. It made us all uncomfortable.
I'm physically sick to my stomach right
Yeah,
now. I might grab a glass of water quick.
fun shout out to the last episode I had WhereAmI on. He physically got up and left the room from how gross it was.
Ooh, nice.
Good times.
What was that
Good-
one called?
That was Pancake
Flat
Family.
people.
Pancake Family.
Yeah.
Pancake
You want to go to
Family.
IHOP?
He didn't like it too much.
I have been to IHOP between then and now. Do you have a jug of water down here? or
I do
should
not. There are bottles on the chair.
Your mom's
across
a
from
jug
the
of
opening.
water because she's thirsty.
Whoa.
Captain Death, you read.
Okay, this is a fun one I heard. This is also from Creepypasta. It's called A Package Marked Return to Sender.
Sounds like my ex.
What does that mean? You put her back up inside her mom?
Yep.
She left you for her mother? Which is worse?
She also had a package.
What?
What?
I'm confused.
Oh, I get it. I don't get it.
You don't get it. What do you think of when I say a package marked return to sender?
I think of somebody has moved out.
Okay.
The,
You know?
the post office has been pretty shitty this last year.
Yeah, COVID. My neighbor is one of those annoying wannabe YouTube personalities. Over the years, I've seen him cough out cinnamon, lay flat on the hood of his car as it slowly creeps down the driveway, and douse himself in lukewarm water, all the while screaming, epic win, epic fail, or fuck, epic maintenance of the status quo for all I know. It can get tiring to watch him go about his shenanigans in the pursuit of viral fame. So when he knocked on my door the other day, told me he was going away for a few weeks and asked that I get his mail. Honestly, it was a relief. I can't explain the peace of mind I had knowing I didn't have to brace myself for any of his stupidity for a while. I was afraid his stunts would wind up bleeding over into my life.
I almost feel like you should read this with a Canadian accent.
Things were pretty
Fucking
normal for the
hoser.
first couple of days. He received a few bills, a bit of spam, and what I could only assume was a birthday card. Then one evening, I got home to find a cardboard box waiting on his front porch. In big red letters was written, "Return to sender."
Yeah, so he dipped out of the country and like
Fuck out of
moved.
here.
Return to
I'm no small fry, but I admit I had trouble lifting the box on my own. It was really freaking heavy. Lugging it across the road to my house was even harder, and I quickly realized there was no way I was going to drag it up the stairs and through
fucking
my front
asshole,
door.
neighbor.
Fucking A.
Fucking A right, you do, bud.
Hey, bud. I decided I'd leave this package in my garage. It wasn't like I kept my car in there. The garage door was a piece of shit that refused to open without a good plug in the lock. It was less trouble just leaving the car in the driveway than it was to fight with the garage door every morning and night. In hindsight, I should have set the package down while I struggled to open the tricky door, but you know how it is when you got a good grip on something. No point in setting it down if you don't have to, bud. It was as I kicked the door for a third time that I lost my grip on the package and it fell on the ground. I heard a light crack. Shit.
Idiot.
I hoped I hadn't broken anything important, but figured I wouldn't tell my neighbor about it and let him assure the break happened en route. Hands free, I finally managed to get the garage door unstuck, and boy did it screech in protest as it rolled up and over me. I dragged the box the rest of the way, setting in the corner for wherever my neighbor would come back to claim it, and then I forgot all about it. I boot it. Until a few days passed, that is. I'm not sure exactly how long it took for the smell to waft in from the crack under the garage to house door, but it came in slow progression. It was a sickly sweet odor similar to a skunk, and for the first few days after I smelled it, I genuinely assumed that's exactly what it was. Roadkill that had left its mark on my house. It was only when I realized the scent was growing more intense instead of fading that I was looking for the source. That's when I opened the garage door, and that's when the odor knocked me back holding the nose.
Oh, that's just Elizabeth Marsh's smell. Her friends are getting a jacuzzi.
Oh, it's her minge. The culprit wasn't hard to identify. The only change in my garage was the box in the corner. I remember thinking it must have been one of those meat of the month subscription boxes, eh? The meat must have gone rancid from being left out in the fridge for so long. How much meat could have been in there for the box to have been so large and heavy? An entire frickin' cow. I covered my nose as I approached the box, a pair of scissors in my hands. I think it's some skunky herb. Some of that ganja. Devil's lettuce, methinks.
Does that smell like bad meat, though?
Sometime. Skunky. I probably wouldn't have needed them to open it as it became soggy enough at the bottom to poke through with the finger, but I wasn't about to poke my finger into spoiled meat juices. That soggy bottom was I'm gonna call myself Soggy Bottom from now on. That soggy bottom was the reason I had to open the box in the first place. If I tried to drag it out whole, everything would spill onto the floor. I was going to have to dump the pieces of meat, one garbage bag at a time, and take them down to the dumpster, a process I was not looking forward to. My scissor tore through the tape along the top of the cardboard box. I thought the smell couldn't get any worse, but as I flipped the flaps open, I discovered a whole new gamut of stank. It was like opening a burning oven, but instead of a heat wave, I was met with waves of piss, sweat, shit, and putrefaction. It was so bad that I staggered back and had to force down the puke, begging to guzzle out of me. I don't think I could have handled that scent mingling with the horrors coming out of the box. I'm not ashamed to admit it, but I ran out of the door for a breath of fresh air. But in the short time I'd spent in the garage, the smell had been so ingrained in the fabric of my clothes that it clung to me like a shadow. Nothing I tried could keep the smell out of my nostrils, not air fresheners, not a face mask, not 3 showers and a change of clothes. Every second that box lay open in my garage was another second the smell was allowed a foothold into my home. I had to bite the bullet. I returned to the garage, the flaps of the box still open, as though inviting me to look. I was prepared. A clothespin pinning my nostrils shut, a garbage bag in one hand, the strongest cleaner I could find in the other, long rubber gloves to keep my skin from having to touch what was inside. As it turns out, I needed none of those things. I would not have to touch or clean the contents of that box. I would only have to suffer the nightmares every night. You see, there was a meat in that box. But it did not come from a cow or a pig. Nope. It was worse than that. It was my neighbor. Dead. Still in one piece, but dead.
Idiot.
I called the cops and naturally they took me in for interrogation. It's kind of hard not to suspect the man with the corpse in his garage after all. Thankfully, they soon realized I wasn't involved. My DNA might have been all over that box. The smell might have left a mark throughout my house, but there was one piece of irrefutable evidence in my neighbor's own hands that proved my innocence of logging camera.
Idiot tried to ship
They showed
himself.
me the footage only once. I'm not sure if they were allowed to, or if they felt so bad for me they figured it couldn't hurt. Either way, I saw it. My neighbor was sitting in the box outside of a shipping facility, laughing as he told the world how he was going to mail himself across state lines. He brought pee bottles, food, a pillow, and a few flashlights, but forgot all about his best friend, oxygen.
Oh.
His friend, a guy I'd seen at the place several times to help with his stunts, closed the lid and presumably dropped him off for shipment. And throughout the next couple of hours or days, I'm honestly not sure, my neighbor recorded a few short clips about his progress. I think I'm in a truck now. I can feel it moving. Must be in a warehouse. Pretty warm here. Still got plenty of food. That kind of stuff. And then on the last entry, the box toppled over, he broke his neck, and that was it. Shit. The camera recorded until either the memory card got too full or the battery died. There's one thing I didn't tell the police after they showed me the video, one thing I heard in the footage that will haunt me to this day, to the day that I die. Just after the tumble that broke his neck, I heard the familiar screeching sound of my garage door.
Nice. That crack.
That's good. That's a fun little hearty twist right there. Got rid of my fucking stupid ass neighbor, eh?
I like that one.
Yeah.
He's dead. It's a good one.
I bet that one got a lot of hits.
I'll hit you, bud. That one.
There was at least one hit.
That one was a fun time. Definitely a good creepypasta. Ooh.
So the first one was something gross to look at. The second one was like smelly. Maybe you'll be hearing some grossness.
Hey, that's fun because
yeah.
the story is called The Pianist. Pianist, some would say, but it sounds too close to penis that they don't say it like that.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you the story of my good friend, Ivan.
Russian accent, let's go.
Yes, Ivan does have two N's. I'm gonna fuck up a Russian accent so hard.
You don't have to.
Ivan was 15
If
years
you can't, then don't.
old. He was a piano prodigy. He was playing Vivaldi and Beethoven. Vivaldi and Beethoven before he could even talk. How many different ways did I pronounce your last name tonight?
I don't want to talk about it.
5? 5 different ways?
Yeah, probably.
I met Ivan via business transaction about a year ago. He was buying my old piano. I should never sold him.
Never sold him that
piano.
piano.
I knew what it was capable of. It was a
Music.
Steinway grand piano.
Damn.
I've had it locked away in a storage unit for years. Ivan saw me in my storage unit one day. He worked there as a temp. He would clean the junk out of old abandoned units, and he saw the shape of the piano under the thick canvas cover. He inquired about it, and I jumped at the chance to get rid of it, not considering the consequences. I sold it to him for $1,000. He was quite surprised at how little I wanted. He had offered 10, but I just wanted it gone. I told him that it had been in the unit for 10 years, but I knew it would be in perfect tune. It never loses its tune. Ivan paid for it to be hauled out of the unit and brought it to his home. It was gone within the hour. He was so excited. He got into his car to head home. I tried to issue a warning, but he didn't hear me. Ivan never was a good listener, in the literal aspect. He could, however, hear a song once, and then be able to play it in the exact key within 15 minutes.
He's got one of them good ears.
Ivan arrived at his home, and the piano was already in his music room. It was pitch black. He switched on the lights, and they flickered eerily. The shadows of the fan blades crawled across the ceiling. The piano was sitting in the middle of the floor, open and ready to play. Ivan wasted no time. He went to the piano and sat down on the bench. What happened next should have been enough to scare Ivan off, but he was determined to play. He pumped the sustain pedal a few times to get the feel of it. He heard a particular noise. It sounded like a heartbeat. He pumped it a few more times. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. The entire house was shaking. Beads of cool sweat rolled down Ivan's forehead. Ivan was a rather adventurous individual, though perhaps more than he should have been. He reached up and positioned his hands on the first chord of his favorite song, Requiem for a Dream. In his left hand was G, B flat, D, G, and on his right was a G octave. Ivan lifted his hands and slammed them back onto the keys. There was a blood-curdling scream. Ivan slammed his hands over his ears and fell off the bench. The piano stood silent, the last of the scream fading away. As I said, Ivan was more adventurous than most, so he got back on the bench. He lightly tapped D flat and brought his hands to near his head again, but heard the dulcet tune of the intended note this time. Ivan, feeling more comfortable, started into the melancholy Moonlight Sonata, another personal favorite of his. All was going well, but when he tried to stand up, he couldn't move at all. His hands and foot started moving on their own, playing Moonlight Sonata, but all wrong. His right hand in the key of D flat, left in the key of D. It sounded harsh, melodic. He was also playing much faster and louder. This went on for the rest of the evening, each time louder and faster. Scratches began to show on the keys he was using. He was nearly melting the ivory. I believe it was around 3 a.m. when Ivan finally did stop. He tore his hands away from the piano and crawled over to the corner of the room. He looked at his hands. His fingers were mangled and broken, a big bloody mess. He glanced back at the piano, and blood was seeping up from between the keys. The flow increased. The floor was now covered in blood. The screams started again. Ivan itched his way over to the door and escaped the room. He got downstairs and entered his living room. The details are a little fuzzy from this point, but Ivan hung himself that morning. This is the note he left behind. She's watching. Always. Always watching. Had to end it. All better. B-A, B-A, F-G, F-G, E-D, C-B, A-C, E-D, G-B, A-G, F-E-D-C. I think Ivan left the string of the letter as instructions. I think it was the notes to a song. I've burned the house with the piano in it. I was too afraid to play the song. I ended it all that night. I spent my days now sitting in the storage unit, just looking at where the old piano used to be. I'm so sorry, Ivan.
He said at the beginning that he knew what he was doing. Don't try to bait us with your apologies at the end. You killed that man. Anyway, I have one clue for what the song is at the very end. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down.
No.
Never gonna run around.
It's definitely not.
No, it definitely isn't. But,
And hurt you?
But that's the joke.
Yeah, fair enough.
Is that Ivan got trolled to death.
Well, I
It's
have
ironic
played
that you read
Moonlight Sonata on a piano.
It is ironic that you read this story because you
probably
are a
dozens,
musician.
if not hundreds of times.
Yes.
Had to end it. All is better.
Yeah,
Baba
I
Ganoush.
liked Baba Ganoush. I liked the beginning. I thought the ending was kind of stupid, but that is a creepypasta, and I like creepy pianos, creepy music, creepy.
I thought the
creepy
whole
craziness.
thing was kind of
Stupid.
melancholy. Yeah.
It read to me as like I want to be Edgar Allan Poe,
Yeah.
but I'm too lazy.
Thunk, thunk.
I'm done reading.
A little bit.
now.
Yeah.
But I liked it anyway.
I did. It wasn't the worst story I've ever
No,
read.
it definitely wasn't. And now we are switching tunes halfway through the episode. We are ready to hit all you with some Reddit NoSleep. Who wants to read Stranded in Hell?
Well, I think we should do it in the same order.
Stranded in Hell.
Hell.
From Reddit NoSleep.
I did it all for the Nookie. Just kidding. I did everything for her. Well,
It's the same thing.
yeah.
I'm
Don't
gonna,
take it back. Embrace it.
I've thrown this statement out in a lot of different groups. I'm gonna also throw it out into the listener base.
Let's have it.
Actually, let me do this. Let me do out of the cast base.
Well,
Rather
let
than
me
the
ask you
whole
this. Let me
listener
ask you
base.
this. Let me ask you that. Let me ask you this. That was my impersonation of every podcaster ever. Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. Let me ask you this.
I have listened to more Limp Bizkit than any other host on this show. I've probably listened to more Limp Bizkit than every other individual combined. So much so that I've listened to at least 4 hours of Limp Bizkit this fucking week.
I like
Okay.
biscuits. I don't like them limp.
I like Limp Bizkit a lot.
What do you-
And certain people have been like,
what
you
are
shouldn't
you
be proud
getting
of
at?
that. Nothing at all.
He just wanted you all to
Yeah,
know.
I just want everyone to know. I want to make sure that people are aware that I am a Limp Bizkit fan.
The person-
Do or die.
Hey, deputy, to me that sounds like being stranded in hell.
Oh, no. The person that has your face out there immediately just threw it away. I hope you know that.
I'm sure they did.
I did
And
everything.
then they went and listened to Linkin Park.
Corn or bust, baby.
I like Linkin Park.
Yeah, I mean, I could have this conversation for a long
We
time.
will not.
We're not. Yeah.
2000s
from the
children.
top.
Let's begin.
Start from the top.
I did everything for her. Please
Yep.
remember that. And I will start at the beginning, just like you
I did
asked.
everything
Hey,
for her.
my wife and I, we woke in a suspended cage. All of our clothes were torn in places,
Oh no.
but our bodies were fine. The cage was dirty and bare. The only thing in it was us. Outside the bars of the cage was an unending landscape of jagged rock, featureless except for the things that moved across its surface. People and things that were not people. This is how my wife and I woke up in hell.
It was actually pretty cool. It was like going to Cancun.
The Ted Cruz method. We were both rational,
He's there.
but rationality only lasts so long. We cried, we screamed for help, we moved past emotion. The cage was our home for a time, but eventually the hunger forced us to make a decision. The cage was unlocked. Why would it not be? It was hung from the ceiling, with a massive chain suspending us thousands of feet from the floor. The landing was not soft, but in hell, your body never stays broken. We learned this after the jump. Fair.
Jumping to conclusions, I think.
We walked for a very long time. Many people around us had either given up, chosen to lay on the floor and moan, or they walked like we did, my wife and I.
Oh, I'm so comfy down here.
She kept making me go, and I'd like to think her. The things that were not people were the only true reminder of where we were, all different from the next. Some of them were massive, crushing people in their wake, and others worked like a hive, a single mind for countless bodies. All of them had teeth and claws, stained from use.
Okay.
There was a ceiling, so there had to be walls. It was a goal, at least. Something to do amidst the terrible hunger and pain. Yeah, let's all go rock climbing.
Hell yeah.
The ceiling was as flat as the land before us. Its only feature was a gaping hole that only had the ragged winged creatures could travel through. A way out, maybe? I did everything for her. A long enough time and you get used to anything. Hell almost seemed redundant. The sound of unending pain was boring and the sound of bone crackling was common. The only two things needed avoiding was the dark and the sacks.
My balls.
Oh, here we go. Going back to them
The boys,
sacks.
the gentlemen, the eggs, the huevos.
That's-
Testicles.
Eggs. In the shadow of the greater creatures, people sunk into the floor, almost as if the dark came alive. Their desperate fighting and screams lost to total blackness. We only saw this twice. The other peril, the sacks, were large, unmoving, and made from burned flesh. My wife and I watched a man limp to one. Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
what are you doing, Sack?
It screamed
poke
at
you.
him, a high piercing noise that drew us close from our vantage point.
It sounds like Gilbert Godfrey.
I thought of a siren briefly before the man was sprayed with blood. The force of it sent him backwards. My right arm was also covered, and it began to itch with a force I thought impossible. Before my eyes, my arm became a deep red as it hardened like steel, my fingers sharpening. In my terror, I paid little attention to the monster that sprang from the place the man landed. The sacks were in the forges which demons were made.
Great.
My arms never stopped itching, and my attempts to satisfy it with my left hand made my fingernails cracked and broken. He just has poison ivy, it's fine.
Great.
But I had a way to provide for my wife. I used my arm to cut and maim people.
Hell yeah.
Nice!
Let's talk
This
about
is
being
Morph X. I knew it.
Morph Xing.
Stealing clothes, food, shelter. We forgot our pain by forcing it onto others. I did everything and more for her. There was no way to keep track of time, but it was so long I forgot my name. The only thing I never forgot was my wife and my love for her. What got us in the end was one of the sacks, the siren. The call of them was undeniable, at least to my wife. I tried to stop her, but she was always faster, and my arm made running impossible with its great weight. Ooh, baby, just dragging that bitch along. I followed her, screaming, begging her to listen to me, but she was coated in the sick blood of that thing by the time I got to her. Her body grew larger, her arms larger, almost tentacle-like. Her screaming deepened as her feminine form was lost to the changing. I cannot imagine the agony she was in. Her head grew horns. Her back grew great leathery wings. Her legs fell off at the knee with a snap.
She was asked to do a music video for Rodney James Dio.
Oh, I was gonna ask if she wanted to do one for Limp Bizkit.
Oh shit, that's so much better than what I said.
Oh, Dio, the man. Once her transformation was done, she gave me a knowing, pained look. I had tears in my eyes, the first true liquid I felt since we got down here. I was picked up by one of her new arms and flapped off her wings took us up.
Wow. This took a turn.
I felt the wind ripping through me and the roar of our fellow demons as we tore through the hole in the ceiling. Darkness taking over us, they're going right to Ozzy to get bit.
Hell yeah.
My waking mind found myself sitting in a smashed car. The truck had hit us head on, sending my alcohol containers all over the interior. I knew they were mine because my wife did not drink. In the passenger seat, my wife's legs were crushed, my own arm hanging limply by the smallest amount of flesh possible. I looked into her dimming eyes, her iris bright red and growing with fire before she shut them forever. She did everything for me. I'll never forgive myself, and I don't think I should.
God damn.
Drunk driving.
What a twist. Hey, don't drink and drive, folks. That's the harsh reality that stings harder than having imaginary holes in your legs.
It's almost as worse as a Limp Bizkit video.
God damn it. He opens himself to us and then you do this to him.
To be fair, and I'm going to say this and sound like a little bit of a snob. I follow Wes Borland, who is the guitar player, more than I actually follow Limp Bizkit. But because I
He's
really enjoy
backpedaling.
Wes Borland, I listen to a lot of Limp Bizkit.
He's backpedaling.
I do like Limp Bizkit. I am a Limp Bizkit fan.
WhereAmI killed his wife. Continue.
I did.
I did. He immediately agrees. Oh.
Hey, I did what I was supposed
Hey,
to do.
what'd you think of being stranded in Hell, Deputy Dewey?
I didn't like it. My wife grew wings and she flew out of that truck.
That's fun.
And the funny thing too is I'm the driver that always keeps my arm out of the car. And for years I never thought about getting in a car accident. And then one day some bitch in my car was just like, you know, if you get in an accident, your arm's gonna rip right off. And I was just like, why would you say that to me? It's my favorite thing to do. I
now have a new phobia.
I always have an uneven sunburn because my left arm is always out of the car when I drive.
I agree with you, and now I'm frightened.
I got the first car accident I ever got into. I was lucky that my window was down because if it was up, the glass would have shattered into my face.
That's fucking gnarly.
T-boned.
Anywho,
Wow.
let's read some fake stories about stupid shit next.
You don't want to go to hell?
Let's avoid our real life terrors and crumble
Yeah.
into fiction.
I'm in hell with holes.
My turn for no sleep story number 2. Oh, which do you think was better, Holes or Stranded in Hell?
I like Stranded in Hell more than the whole story.
Interesting.
I was gonna say that was a 6 versus like a 3.
I liked the Holes more.
He likes the grossness.
That's fair.
New neighbors are really starting to freak me out. From Reddit NoSleep. I usually like these ones because the titles make me laugh, and then the story's fucking awful and it scares me.
Your last one was about a neighbor, too.
Something really creepy. Oh my god. Something really creepy is happening across the street. Wasn't sure where to post my experience. Was directed here from a friend. Wondering what you guys make of this. So about a month ago, the neighbors across the street, who have lived here for 25 plus years, suddenly packed up and left. No warning, no goodbyes, nothing. Never even saw a for sale sign posted on their lawn. There was an older couple. They were an older couple, and I wasn't terribly close with them, but they were friendly enough that I said hi to catch up when we caught each other outside. They were good, kind people. I was pretty upset to see them just leave like that. Nearly 3 days after they were gone, a sold sign was put up near the front of the house. I remember thinking how remarkably fast it sold. 3 days, and not once did I see an open house or people visiting. Another week or so went by before new neighbors finally moved in. They only arrived with a pretty small U-Haul truck. They hardly had any belongings. The new family that moved in was a middle-aged Asian couple. Oh, we so sorry. We move in the neighborhood. Oh, we just Chinese. We got smoke pianist. I remember they came to visit my house. I'm gonna cut that. I remember they came to my house
I
to
can't
say
sound
hello.
racist on my podcast.
They went around our street visiting all the houses to say hello, which only if
If it makes you feel
Punks
better.
Not Trill was here.
Yeah, my mind immediately went to smoking opium behind the house.
Hey, there you go. Or giving out hand jobs for massage fees. They went around our street visiting all the houses to say hello, which I thought was a really nice gesture at the time. Although I don't understand what the hell they were saying. They were quiet, but they seemed very nice.
Very nice.
Anyway, last night I was woken up around 2 a.m. by this constant banging sound. It's a fucking gong. Bang, bang. Oh, sorry, neighbor. We practice our music at night. And it's a bong. Rhythmic and constant, like the sound of someone slamming a hammer down on a wooden table over and over. I got out of bed trying to figure out what the noise was or where it was coming from. It took me a few seconds to realize it was coming from outside. I slowly opened my window, which faces the street in my neighbor's house. It was pretty dark out, and I couldn't make out much, but the sound was definitely coming from outside, near the neighbor's house. I live on a cul-de-sac, so to the left of my house is nothing but woods, and this would be my neighbor's right-hand side. This is exactly where the sounds were coming from, deep in the woods. Bang, 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 just over and over again. It never sped up, it slowed down, or stopped. It just constant. Getting chills just thinking about it. So I closed the window, thinking the noise will stop eventually. Nope. 10 whole minutes go by and something outside is still banging. I got back out of bed and opened my window again, trying to look into the darkness to make out what was making the sound. I couldn't see a thing. So I go downstairs, I grab a flashlight and come back upstairs to my room. There was no way I was going outside. Hey, at least this guy got brains. I get to the window, turn on my flashlight, and shine it into the woods. The second the light hits the trees, the banging stops. I mean instantly, just silence. I remember shivering so hard when that happened. I peered through the opening of my window into the dimly lit woods my light was hitting. I couldn't see anything at all, just woods and trees. I waited a couple more minutes and then turned off my light, figuring it must have been an animal or whatever, and the banging stopped, so I was fine. Just as I'm crawling back into bed, bang, bang, bang. I swear to God, I literally just sat there frozen in bed. I can't remember being so creeped out in my life. I don't know what came over me, but I eventually jumped out of bed, opened the window, and yelled out, "Hey!" And the banging stopped. The rest of the night, there was no more banging, but it gets weirder. I woke up this morning, kind of not thinking about what happened last night, and as I leave to go to work, I see it. Deep in the woods next to my neighbor's house was a broken down shed I've never seen before. I'm not even sure if I would call it a shed. It couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 feet tall, if that, and it was wide enough to just fit a handful of people. The size of the shed wasn't what disturbed me, though. It was how dilapidated it looked, despite never being there before. The shed had 2 front doors with oval windows, and both doors were rusted off and hanging by their hinges. The roof slanted inwards and the walls were caved in on themselves. It looked like it was about to collapse at any second. That's when I started thinking, what the hell did my neighbors build this last night at 2 in the morning? The banging noise had to be a hammer or something, but seriously, what the hell? It was the middle of the night. And so I'm sitting here writing about this to you guys in my room at 1 in the morning because it's all I'm thinking about when the banging starts again. It's still banging. I can hear it right now. That's not all, though. There's a light coming from the shed now, and I can see it from my room, just barely. The banging sounds are coming exactly where the shed is. It's 1 in the morning. I have no idea what the hell is going on. I know a lot of people may not believe me, so I took some pictures of the shed, took them with my iPhone, so apologies for the crummy image quality. That's not an excuse. It's very, very good cameras. The first picture I took this morning when I saw the shed for the first time. The second picture I took just now. You can just barely make out a light coming from the shed. I'm not sure if I should call the police or... Oh God. The banging just stopped. Someone's screaming outside.
Nice.
It's WhereAmI, and he's wondering what happened to all the White Castle he ordered.
Yeah.
It's Deputy Dewey telling me that he'll be my friend and then stab me in the back at the last possible minute.
That sounds like me. You should continue to watch A Way Out. Wink.
It's probably already done at this point. Anyway, story was fun. I like slice of life things. You know, I like the neighbor things, the Disturbia-esque quality of it.
I think the number of times that you've betrayed me in something that we've done is the number one reason why I want to kill you as your DM. Just like constantly, I want to like.
When have I betrayed you? You're always my DM.
No. In other games.
Oh.
In non D&D games, you betray me. Like, literally 90% of the time that we play a different game.
I mean, that's usually my strategy in games for survival. Because,
yes.
like, I notice who will be, like, a person that will betray me, and I'm just like, well, I'll fuck them up first. And to be fair, you had me in an airlock in the Alien game.
I was just trying to destroy the whole ship, whether or not you were, you know, like, that's...
Hey.
Good times. We gotta play that again sometime.
Yeah.
We all made our intentions very clear that playthrough. Shout out to Nemesis, very good board game.
So good.
WhereAmI? What'd you think of the neighbor story with the Satan shed? Not enough.
Yeah, correct. Not enough.
Just falls below the quotient.
Oh, sure. You know, my neighbors were banging real loud, and now somebody's screaming.
So, do you think the Return to Sender was a better story?
Yes.
Very
much so.
I kind of agree. And I like the way the Return to Sender is kind of poetic.
The build-up was better.
Yeah.
The climax was better. And
hey, I hate when shit happens in
better.
the middle of the night. I hate creepy neighbors. I love my neighbors here, all of them. Like I can put myself in this character's perspective and be just as terrified.
But
I think
creepy neighbor for most people.
But I just think the better story was the Return to Sender one because it was written better, it felt better, it moved better, and I liked the ending more.
And Return to Sender.
Not a knock against the other one. You know?
No, this is a fine story, but you know, we are doing a war of Creepypasta versus Reddit NoSleep, and this one I'm going to give to Creepypasta.
And Return to Sender.
And the last one you said NoSleep was better. Yeah. So we are 1 versus 1 going into our final story. Let's see what WhereAmI is going to read. For my 9th birthday, I got the coolest walkie-talkies ever.
More sounds.
So...
You get sounds, you get neighbors, I get holes.
This is great.
My 9th birthday was the greatest. I got a Transformers playset with a Bumblebee and Megatron. Bumblebee! A really, really cool Optimus Prime cake. And my mom made it herself.
Nice.
I also got a pair of old walkie-talkies that my dad said were his when he was a little boy. Sometimes, son, he'd tell me with a little pat on my shoulder. The old-fashioned toys are the greatest. You would not believe the fun I had with these when I was a kid. And now, I want you to have that fun too. I wasn't sure about them at first, but I came around pretty quickly. Dad would always have one, and I'd have the other. And we'd talk to each other like we were Autobots carrying out a secret mission. Bumblebee, this is Optimus, he'd say to me. My dad already did a great Optimus Prime voice, but the crackly reception of the walkie-talkies made him sound even better. I think the Decepticons are planning an assault on the kitchen. They're going to steal all your dinner. I gave a gasp of mock fear. Oh no! What can we do, Optimus? My dad chuckled down the line. He loved my Bumblebee voice. I think they've already begun stealing the fish sticks. Those fiends! But if you get here fast, I think we can save the chocolate sundae from Starscream. I'll be down there at the speed of light, Optimus! And then we both, at the same time, said, Autobots, roll out!
Roll out.
Bumblebee's a
little bit. It went from being just an okay gift to one of my favorite presents ever. We got hours of fun in the walkie-talkies at home, in the park, and even at nighttime. If I got scared by some of the funny noises that come out of the basement sometimes, all I needed to do is pick up the walkie-talkie and press the button on the side, and I'd hear my dad become Optimus Prime, and I'd feel safe again. But 2 weeks after my birthday, something really awful happened. My dad was having some rooms in the house soundproofed, so Mommy could practice playing her violin. And while all the workmen were in the house, my dad's walkie-talkie went missing. It had totally and completely vanished. I cried for quite a while, even though I'm a big boy. I just had so much fun goofing around with my dad on them. It made me really sad that we wouldn't be able to have that fun again. He told me he'd buy me some new ones in the future, but that just didn't make me feel any better. One day, something weird happened though. I was in my bedroom playing with the Transformers playset that Mom and Dad had gotten me for my birthday when I heard my walkie-talkie beeping underneath the bed. The kind of beep it makes when someone is calling me. I'd stashed the walkie-talkie under the bed since Dad's went missing.
I don't like this.
But I quickly dropped Bumblebee and Megatron and grabbed it. I pressed the little receive button on the side of the walkie-talkie, and I heard the voice of a little girl, probably about my age. She sounded really worried. Please, I need help. Come and help me, she said. She sounded like a hurt puppy. What kind of help do you need? I asked, feeling so nervous. I didn't feel as much like Bumblebee then. She kept doing these quiet sobs, like she was really badly hurt. The monster, he took my arm yesterday. He took my leg last week when I tried to run away. How did you get my walkie-talkie?
Priorities.
Probably not how I would have read that. That's fine.
I don't know. It's so dark here. I'm so afraid. I want my mommy and daddy. Now I was getting really frightened. Where are you? I asked. I don't know. The monster took me from my house and put me in here. He wears a white mask and he has a big knife. I think I'm gonna die if I don't get a doctor.
Oh, it's President of the United States, Joe Biden.
You said my ear smelled good.
Hey, little girl. Hey, I'm the POTUS. You know what they say? The POTUS has, the POTUS has a big penis.
There was a creaking noise, like a door opening. The walkie-talkie stopped. She must have taken her finger off the button. You weren't meant to do that. I didn't hear anything from the girl on the walkie-talkie after that. It seemed like such a silly, mean joke. But I did keep the walkie-talkie close to me, just in case she called back. I felt really worried for her. The week after that, the walkie-talkie started beeping, and I pressed the receive button with a trembling figure.
Bumblebee, this is Optimus.
My dad's voice was full of happiness.
Guess who just found your walkie-talkie?
I squealed in excitement. My dad was beaming when he walked into the bedroom, holding the walkie-talkie proudly and giving it a few clicks just to make sure it was in tip-top shape. Of course I ran over and hugged it. "Where did you find it?" I asked.
Oh, he said. It was just lying around in the basement. It must have fallen out of my pocket last time I was down there. Silly me.
Giggling, I gave him a great big hug while he hugged me back. I have such a great dad.
Which one did you like more, Pianist or Walkie-Talkie Man?
I liked Walkie-Talkie Man.
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
They had fun with it, and
Yeah.
it's uninformed because it's from the perspective of a small, stupid little child,
Made me
which
think
makes
of,
it silly.
Made me think of the principal and the son in Trick or Treat.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
big fan of that. When they said soundproofing the house, I was like, yeah, this guy's got a murder house. Oh man, I predicted it earlier on. Not surprised, not disinterested, very happy at the follow through with it. It's the fun part of this type of episode where you get to see just how much someone could do or what direction they want to go in with just 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah.
It looks like we end the night with Reddit NoSleep, the winner.
Looks
and
like it.
Golf clap?
I do think that's fair because more often than not, NoSleep just hits a frequency with people that just feels more real, feels like it's coming from a better place. Creepypastas tend to be presented almost like, the scary stories they are. I think NoSleeps try to be more believable. They try to be more slice of life. They try to be more, I guess artful might be the right word.
Not as
Posted with intent, whereas creepypasta is just
that's
creepypasta is like anything that anyone finds creepy could go on there, but the subjectivity of creepiness is a pretty wide spectrum versus NoSleep being a very experimental format. You could read a bunch of different shit on NoSleep. Anyway,
Hey,
what did you think, Mr. Depp?
Well, where am I? Can I mail you to Fred Durst?
Yeah,
If
definitely.
only.
Did you know Fred Durst has a TikTok?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I think I like Where Am I stories.
Guess
the
who?
best.
Guess who follows Fred Durst on TikTok?
I'm not
Where am
gonna...
I?
Millions of people.
Oh, me.
I like his stories too. Where am I? What'd you think of your first episode back after fucking killing yourself in the house on fire?
We both died.
Oh yeah, you were my dead boys. You're my dead boy episode. You guys both. Well, you got domed. I mean, you did kind of kill yourself too, but you definitely killed yourself.
I got blowjobs to death.
Yes. Well, you got fucked to death.
I'm gonna in my head visualize blowjobs.
As the flames crisp your body, her head is on your penis.
With you telling me the betrayal thing, thinking back on it,
Betrayal.
I totally should have handcuffed you after you came back from death.
Betrayal.
I thought about it too.
Yeah.
Well, no one saw him die.
Well, he came back from death, and then I saw him then, and I contemplated handcuffing him right then and there.
You should have said something like that out loud. I would have purported that said event, so someone could have saved him. Someone could have saved him. Oh, but anyway, that's a shout out to the Chaos in the Woods. Definitely give a listen to 200, 201, 202, and 203 for that fucking conquest of a series.
When I talk about betrayals, I'm more talking about the Thing game.
Oh, Thing game
those resonate hard with me.
Thing game is something else, and we have a playthrough coming up next month, so I'm sure we'll be back to talk about it with whoever's on the show, whatever anecdotes we gain this time, because I still tell the stories about how Tenron last time ran out into the woods and started doing the whole Blair Witch thing, recording on his phone. He's just like, they've taken my friends, and I'm all alone. It was fucking hilarious. Yeah. And then I talk about how you betrayed me on the last round after I had just vehemently tried to prove to everyone how innocent you were.
Hard.
I got so far, but in the end, it didn't really matter. And
that was the same round that I got shot immediately for the same reason.
No one ever trusts you,
yeah,
dude.
You kind of set yourself.
You come with your own baggage into the game, and you don't make it easier for people either. I think you died every game.
I've died every game I've ever played of that.
That's hilarious.
WhereAmi's main strategy is run around the house and scream.
Well,
that's not
and it never
true.
ends well.
No. My main task in that game, more often than anything else, is the science project.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that is my.
You
I've
do
never
try to get
finished,
the blood test.
I've finished the.
I changed
the
that this time too.
Yeah, I finished it once out of like a few different times, so like I can say I've completed it.
He's a Blair.
I've never been able to do anything with it after completing it.
The blood test.
Yeah, like because I always just die immediately.
Yeah, probably. Fun thing,
but yeah,
new introduction to the game is for the people who don't want to go to rooms and look for things. I'm going to have things all over the house that people can find. So that's one little thing I'm changing is there are big boxes and small boxes. And the small boxes could be anywhere, inside, outside. Look for them, try and find them. So that's your challenge. If you don't want to be in rooms with people, we now have a 50% spread going everywhere else. I'm really excited to see how that works out because
I'm not going to change any of my tactics.
I don't.
Fuck it.
I trusted you for a moment.
See, I go into every game with a different tactic.
So that's how we're different. I like to think everyone does. I like to think anyone who's played it before goes into it knowing that it's Among Us in person and you have to change things up or else you're just going to be really easy to read the entire time. Which people who've never played before tend to be very telegraphed.
I did feel bad the last time we had some newbies and they just seemed to like team up together the whole time. It's like, that's not how you have
one
fun
of them's coming
this.
back and I'm told that he's gonna try some new things.
Yeah.
Is that
that's
cum?
That's cum. Cum is coming.
Yeah.
Cum is coming.
Cum is coming.
Thank God.
Here's the fun new revelation.
I'm actually gonna probably latch on to him for
take
at least
him under
one
your
game
wing
and just be like,
take him under your wing, show him the ropes.
I'm gonna be like, here, sniff this real quick, and then we're gonna go crazy.
He will
I know.
Do it.
My goal is to get the flamethrower. I have never had the flamethrower, and I want to be the ultimate cop.
Okay.
It might be very possible for someone to have the flamethrower when there is no childs in play this time.
Well, I know last time, for the last game, you let us choose characters, and I think that that's a really awesome final
I'm reversing
game.
that this time. I'm doing something else when it comes to characters. Anyway, we can talk more about this some other time. But
let's let the listener get back to their life.
I love talking about the Thing game. We're going to come back and talk about it some other time because I got a lot of new stuff to share, and I love telling stories about how we play it because it quite literally is Among Us in real life with fun little twists and turns and people dying and betraying one another, and it's just good. It's a fun time, and I'm really excited about where we're doing it and who's coming this time, and we got a lot of new people coming. And a lot of different experiences I imagine are going to happen just because of the layout of the house itself. It's going to be an interesting time. It's going to be a fun time. And I'm sure we're going to talk all about it here on the couches once again. Because this is Lots of Pasta with Deputy Dewey.
Where am I?
And where am I?
Be sure to not drink and drive and always check your holes.
That's what he has to say. Where am I? What's your advice?
If your first roll of the game, your player hits a nat 1, and then you hit a nat 20.
Some things are meant to happen.
Yeah,
some things are meant to be.
Some things are destined.
Yeah.
And some things are fate.
Hey, neat.
I don't have anything thoughtful to say. I'm going to instead say fuck off, and I'll see you next episode, fuckers.
I wait till the day's end when the moon is high, a little rise at the tide with the lust for life out. I'm as an army, and we're running so hard, and then we'll look across the land until we stand at the shore. I'll wait till day's end when the moon is high, and then I'll rise at the tide with the lust for life out. I'm as an army, and we're running so hard, and then we'll look across the land until we stand at the shore.